For over 1,000 years, the walls of Constantinople stood unconquered. Every siege had failed against them. Arab armies, Crusader forces, nothing could break the city. But on May 29, 1453, after 53 days of siege, everything changed. A 21-year-old Ottoman Sultan named Mehmed II brought weapons the world had never seen. Cannons so massive they could hurl 600-pound stone balls that shattered walls built to withstand anything. The last Roman emperor, Constantine XI, would die fighting on those walls. An empire that had endured since the days of Julius Caesar would fall in a single day, and the medieval world would end with it. This is the story of how Constantinople fell and how Rome finally met its end. This is Empire's End. Constantinople was founded in 330 AD by Emperor Constantine the Great to be the new Rome. When the Western Roman Empire collapsed in 476, Constantinople survived as the capital of what we call the Byzantine Empire, though they still called themselves Romans. What made Constantinople legendary were its defenses, the Theodosian Walls. Built in the 5th century, these were the most formidable fortifications ever constructed. 3 layers of walls separated by deep moats. The main wall stood 40 feet tall and 15 feet thick, studded with 96 towers. Any attacking army would face overlapping fields of fire from 3 directions. For 1,000 years, these walls had held. The Arab sieges of the 7th and 8th centuries failed. Even the Fourth Crusade in 1204 only succeeded by attacking from the sea. They never broke the land walls. But by 1453, the Byzantine Empire was dying. The empire that once controlled the Mediterranean had shrunk to little more than Constantinople itself. Emperor Constantine XI ruled over a city of perhaps 50,000 people, down from 500,000. His army numbered maybe 7,000 defenders, including about 2,000 foreign mercenaries led by an Italian soldier named Giovanni Giustiniani. Constantine had sent desperate pleas to the west for help. Some help came, a few hundred soldiers, some ships, but nothing close to what was needed. Because marching toward Constantinople was an Ottoman army numbering between 80,000 and 120,000 men, and leading them was Sultan Mehmed II, a young man obsessed with conquering the city. Mehmed II became Sultan of the Ottoman Empire in 1451 at just 19 years old. But he was brilliant, ambitious, and obsessed with one goal: conquering Constantinople. Previous Ottoman sultans had tried and failed. Mehmed understood why. Traditional siege weapons couldn't break the Theodosian walls, so he would use something revolutionary. Mehmed recruited a Hungarian engineer named Urban who had offered his services to the Byzantines first. But Constantine couldn't afford to pay him. The Ottomans could. Urban promised Mehmed he could build cannons large enough to shatter any wall ever built. And he delivered. The largest cannon, the Basilica, was a monster. 27 feet long, weighing over 18 tons, it could fire a 600-pound stone ball over a mile. The sound could be heard from 10 miles away. When it hit the walls, the entire city shook. It required 60 oxen and 200 men just to move it. It could only fire 7 times a day because the barrel had to cool between shots. But it was worth it. Mehmed had dozens of other cannons as well, smaller, but still devastating. He positioned them along the land walls, focusing on weak points. The Sultan also prepared his army meticulously. He had elite Janissary infantry, former Christian boys converted to Islam and trained as the Ottoman Empire's finest soldiers. He had cavalry, archers, engineers, and miners. And he had one more advantage: the Ottoman navy. Constantinople's sea walls were weaker, protected by a massive chain stretched across the Golden Horn harbor to keep enemy ships out. Mehmed couldn't break the chain, so he bypassed it entirely. In one of the most audacious moves in military history, Mehmed had his engineers build a greased wooden road over the hills behind Constantinople. In a single night in April 1453, they dragged 70 Ottoman ships overland and launched them into the Golden Horn. The Byzantines woke to find enemy ships inside their harbor. The siege was about to begin. On April 6, 1453, the Ottoman army completely surrounded Constantinople. Emperor Constantine XI addressed his defenders, reminding them they were the last remnants of the Roman Empire, defending 1,000 years of history. Then the cannons began to fire. The bombardment was unlike anything the medieval world had seen. Day after day, Ottoman cannons pounded the walls. The basilica and other great guns focused on the Mesotekion, the middle wall, where a river valley created a natural weak point. The Byzantines desperately repaired the damage each night. They hung animal hides and wool bales on the walls to absorb cannonball impacts. They built wooden stockades behind breached sections. Every morning, the Ottomans fired again. Every night, the defenders repaired. Giovanni Giustiniani proved to be a brilliant defensive tactician, organizing work crews and personally leading counterattacks. But the attacks never stopped. Mehmed sent wave after wave of soldiers to test the defenses. Ottoman miners dug tunnels under the walls. The Byzantines countered with their own miners, and vicious battles were fought in the darkness underground. The Ottomans built siege towers. The defenders burned them with Greek fire, the legendary Byzantine incendiary weapon. Constantine XI fought alongside his men. The Emperor of Rome personally manned the walls with a sword in his hand. Inside the city, morale wavered. Food ran low. A lunar eclipse occurred, which some took as a sign that God had abandoned them. On May 23rd, a Venetian ship captain returned with devastating news. There was no relief fleet. No Western army was coming. The Byzantines were alone. Mehmed made one final offer: surrender, and the population could leave unharmed. Constantine could rule the Peloponnese as an Ottoman vassal. Constantine refused. According to legend, he said, "I would rather die than surrender the city." Mehmed set the date for the final assault, May 29th. The night before, the entire Ottoman army lit their campfires and shouted war cries. The Byzantines watched as tens of thousands of fires surrounded the city, a sea of flames in the darkness. Constantine gathered his commanders one last time. He thanked them for their service and absolved them if they wanted to flee. None did. Then he walked through the city, visiting Hagia Sophia to pray before the altar. At dawn, the final assault would begin. May 29th, 1453 began just before dawn. The Ottoman cannons opened fire in a deafening barrage. Then Mehmed sent his first wave, irregular troops, poorly armed conscripts meant to exhaust the defenders. They came screaming, carrying ladders and grappling hooks. The Byzantines met them with arrows, stones, and anything they could throw. The irregulars were slaughtered, but they had done their job. They wore down the defenders and used up ammunition. Then came the second wave, better equipped Anatolian Turkish warriors. They hit the walls hard, focusing on cannon-damaged sections. Fighting raged for hours. Giovanni Giustiniani was everywhere, rallying defenders, throwing back ladders, organizing counterattacks. The defenders fought with desperate courage. Then disaster struck. A projectile struck Giustiniani in the chest. The wound was serious. The commander who had held the defense together was carried from the walls. The sight broke the defenders' morale. Some began to fall back. Constantine himself rushed to fill the gap. The emperor fought personally, trying to hold the line. And then Mehmed sent in his elite troops, the Janissaries. The Janissaries were the Ottoman Empire's finest soldiers, fanatically loyal, superbly trained, absolutely fearless. They wore distinctive white caps and had been held in reserve for this moment. They hit the weakest point in massive force. At nearly the same moment, about 50 Ottoman soldiers discovered something. A small gate called the Kirka Porta had been left unlocked. The Ottomans poured through. Suddenly, defenders were fighting on two fronts, Janissaries scaling the walls ahead and Ottomans inside the city behind them. Panic spread. The cry went up. The Turks are in the city. Constantine XI knew this was the end. The emperor removed his imperial regalia, didn't want his body identified and paraded as a trophy. Then Constantine Palaiologos, the last Roman emperor, descended from the walls and charged into the Ottoman soldiers with his sword drawn. He was never seen again. His body was never definitively identified, though the Ottomans later claimed to have found one with purple imperial boots. With their emperor dead and the walls breached, Byzantine resistance collapsed. Ottoman soldiers poured into the city. What followed was 3 days of looting. Churches ransacked, citizens killed or enslaved. Hagia Sophia was stripped of its treasures and converted into a mosque. Mehmed himself rode into the church and declared it would serve Islam. But after 3 days, the Sultan ordered the looting stopped. He declared Constantinople would be rebuilt as the new Ottoman capital, Istanbul. The Byzantine Empire, the last remnant of Rome, was gone. The fall of Constantinople sent shockwaves across the world. In Western Europe, the reaction was horror. The Pope called for a new crusade, though none ever came. Greek scholars fled Constantinople, carrying ancient manuscripts to Italy. Some historians argue this influx of knowledge helped spark the Renaissance. The Ottoman control of trade routes motivated European powers to seek alternative paths to Asia, eventually leading to the Age of Exploration and Columbus's voyage to the Americas. For the Ottoman Empire, Constantinople's fall marked the beginning of a golden age. Mehmed II, forever after known as Mehmed the Conqueror, rebuilt the city as Istanbul and made it the capital of an empire that would dominate the Mediterranean for centuries. But perhaps the most symbolic consequence was this: the Roman Empire had finally ended. Not in 476, when the western half fell. The true end of Rome came on May 29, 1453, when Constantine XI died fighting on the walls of Constantinople. An empire that began with Julius Caesar, that built the Colosseum and conquered the known world, that survived barbarian invasions and civil wars. That empire finally met its end in the rubble of Constantinople's shattered walls. Mehmed II understood the symbolism. He declared himself Caesari Rome, Caesar of Rome. The medieval world had ended. The age of gunpowder had begun. And it all came down to 53 days, a young sultan's ambition, and an emperor who chose death over surrender. The Theodosian walls still stand today in Istanbul. You can walk along them and see the cannon damage from 1453. This was the empire's end, where we explore the battles and moments that brought history's greatest empires to their knees. Next time, we're going back to 1258 to witness the Mongol destruction of Baghdad, the week that ended the Islamic Golden Age. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching.